This is a good old bagel. Just a regular one from the supermarket. Please don't judge me, we're actually about to fix that. As much as I love bagels, I have one big issue with them. So what I'm making here is a very classic one. Cream cheese, some smoked salmon, fresh dill, onions, some tomato. I like to do pickles as well, and of course top with even more cream cheese on a toasted bagel, of course. Now that is a very delicious boy. That is certainly not the problem right here, but if I took a big fat bite of this bagel right now, everything would be coming out the sides and of course through the hole on the bottom. And I know that you know exactly what I mean. It's almost impossible to eat a thick bagel like this without making a mess. And before you go crazy in the comments, I know that many good bagel shops will solve this issue by wrapping the bagel in sandwich paper, then cutting it in half. And I gotta say, this certainly makes it a bit more manageable. But we also gotta ask ourselves, what is the issue in the first place? Follow me. Well, it's obviously the form factor. A bagel is ring-shaped, and back in the day, that probably made a whole lot of sense. Bagels and other ring-shaped breads have existed and been loved by the masses for centuries. I'm pretty sure though that the reason for the shape is convenience. They're easier to tie together with a string or stack on a stick-like holder. But today, we live in the era of the sandwich, and taking a ring-shaped bread and turning it into a sandwich is, well, let's say a questionable choice, and I think we can do better. Picture this, breadstick on the outside but bagel on the inside, and of course coated in everything bagel seasoning. Then we make a cream cheese based dip which contains all the flavors we love in a classic salmon bagel. And then you just dip the bagel stick in the dip and Bob's your uncle. Perfect bagel goodness with every single bite. Can this be the future of bagels? Let's find out. First things first, let's make our bagels, or shall I say bagel sticks. Into a mixing bowl, I'm adding some strong bread flour for a chewy bagel, followed by yeast, a bit of salt, and also some sugar to get the yeast going. One quick mix and we can add our water. Not too much though, this dough will be more on the stiff side. You want to combine everything well enough to get all the water mixed in, but at this stage the dough will be pretty shaggy and resistant, so I like to just cover and rest that initial dough for about 30 minutes to get it fully hydrated. Then you give it a good knead about 5 to 10 minutes and rest it again, this time for 45 minutes. In the meantime, let's make that magic salmon cream cheese bagel dip, the foundation of which will be, you guessed it, cream cheese. I like to go full fat, but you can certainly adjust that to your liking. To this, I'm gonna add some cold smoked salmon, which I diced up really finely, just like all the other ingredients for this dip, by the way. And those ingredients should be all the things you like on a bagel. I'm going for tomatoes, minced shallots, sweet and sour pickles, also some horseradish for that little extra something, and of course dill, how could that be missing? A good few rounds of freshly cracked pepper, and don't forget that pepper slab. And my favorite personal touch is grabbing a lemon, and yes, this is a ripe one, it's just organic, and grating in a bit of that zest, as well as adding a squeeze of lemon juice. You know what we gotta do now? Mix everything very well until it's homogeneous, and this is technically ready to go and already guaranteed to be delicious. But look at that consistency. It's super thick and firm, definitely more like a spread. There's no way we can dip things in it right now, but this is where my secret ingredient comes in: Mountain Dew. Okay, please tell me you didn't just believe that. Obviously, this is not Mountain Dew. This is just some pickle juice from those pickled cucumbers we added before, which is actually a super underrated ingredient. You can add as much as you like until you get the desired texture. What I'm looking for is something that's pretty runny, but it shouldn't be liquid, yet it should still be able to slide off a spoon easily, which is how I know when it's about right. And a quick little taste test confirms this is absolutely delicious, and I cannot wait to try it on a bagel. Speaking of which, let's make our bagel sticks. Our dough has rested now and feels a whole lot smoother, although I was quite surprised it didn't double in size, but we'll get back to that in a second. First, let's divide that dough into 10 equal pieces, only about 50 grams each, and then roll all of these pieces up into taut little balls. One by one, roll those balls into sort of mini baguettes, if that makes any sense. Line them up on a baking tray, cover that, and let's give those a little rest. Not too long, just long enough for us to make our everything bagel seasoning. For that, you want to use a medium-sized rectangular casserole dish into which we'll mix in mostly sesame seeds, but also some poppy seeds and, in my opinion, non-optional for great bagels, caraway. Really gives them that extra something. A lot of people might be expecting dried garlic flakes or dried onion flakes, which I do love, but I find that they always tend to burn too quickly, ruining my entire batch of bagels, so I'm not adding those. Just give all these seeds a good mix and that will be our bagel stick coating. If you ever made bagels, you know they are traditionally poached in a malt syrup type situation, which we're gonna simplify a bit. Into a large pan with water, I just added a few spoonfuls of sugar, which will help with a crispier crust afterwards. And once that was boiling, I simply grabbed my future bagel sticks, gave them a quick stretch and pull for that breadstick shape, and poached them from all sides for a good minute or so, dropping them right into my coating mix afterwards. Another advantage of that sugar water bath is that it really helps those seeds stick to the dough. Line them all up on a baking tray and into the oven they go for 20 minutes at 220 Celsius, after which they should have puffed up a little more. Again, this was a bit surprising. They got some color, but that was about it. Anyhow, I made bagel sticks. That should be good enough. So let's move to the big taste test. Does my theory work? Is this really a better way to eat bagels? Let's start with some good news. I think in theory, this method certainly works. The sticks were super convenient to hold and eat, and believe it or not, the dip actually works. You really get all the flavors you love in a cream cheese bagel with each and every bite without making a huge mess. What's even cooler is that you can scoop up as much of that dip as you like, and that lemony zesty note we added, However, by my reaction here, you might notice something is a little bit off here, and it was. For some reason, my bagel sticks came out way too salty, like a lot. I think what happened here is that I mixed up salt and sugar when I was prepping the ingredients, and that would also explain why the bagel sticks didn't rise a whole lot during baking, because, too much salt kind of messes with yeast. But you can just be smarter than me and not make that mistake, and you will end up with a really cool, fun new take on the classic bagel, which I think the world should definitely be open to. Would you want to try this? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.